We just landed on the moon in the Lambo. Taking pictures with the zoom and the angle. We'll be coming back to you with the samples. Operations coming soon with a halo. We just landed on the moon in the Lambo. Taking pictures with the zoom and the angle.
Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec, and this is the CSE. Today, we're going to talk about Chromia. Now, I went down the rabbit hole with this project. Someone recommended this project to me, and I really started to get interested. So, I did promise recently on my YouTube channel and on my Twitter that I'm going to start talking about other projects in general, and you can see in my channel art here that there are a nice array of different categories of blockchain and crypto projects, and these are projects that I'm interested in trading in my portfolio actively, and really Chromia may actually take the place of one of these projects very soon. I really think so, because I'm really starting to get interested. I want to go over Chromia, talk about it. It's going to be a real general video, kind of like an update. I didn't find too much information, so I feel like I can shed some light on some of the things that I've noticed that people want to know about Chromia. So we'll talk about some of the updates that are coming soon. Also, the games that are on the platform. I wanted to explain the project, go over the white paper very, very shortly. Maybe even give some price action information, bring up the coin market cap and all of that, and explain why I'm interested in the project overall. So let's go ahead and get started. Here, it says Chromia, the relational blockchain platform that makes sense. And we're going to kind of just skip through this because I want to hit the key points of the website. It's actually a really clean website. I really like it. Now, they say here, relational blockchain equals relational database plus blockchain. I will break that down using the white paper in just a second. But this is the key part here that I wanted to bring up. Now, bring this up here so you can see it. So we created RHEL, our take on universal language that is easier to learn and more efficient to work with. It's based on SQL, which most developers know. RHEL is highly efficient and permits fewer lines of code than other blockchain languages. So I'm going to go through the white paper. We're going to look up SQL and we're going to look up JavaScript, and we're going to break down all of this. Now, what I find very interesting right away is that if you're a coder, you're going to be able to use RHEL to basically make your work more concise. You'll be able to use fewer lines of code than other blockchain languages. So one thing right off the start, I'm a huge Ethereum guy. I look for uniqueness in projects and why they really, are different, what sets them apart and puts them in another category, so that because I'm not the type of person that believes that there's just one project to rule them all. So if there's another category that someone can take over, that's what makes me bullish on them. So in this regards, they can really help with coders because they're using RHEL, and it makes everything more concise and easier for them to code. But also they're using this relational language here. So let's go ahead and look at the white paper, and we're going to search Java. Alright, so here it says we designed RHEL in such a way that it is easy to learn for programmers. Programmers can use relational programming idioms they are already familiar with. However, they don't have to go out of their way to express everything through relational algebra. RHEL can seamlessly merge relational constructs and procedural programming. The language is deliberately similar to modern programming languages like JavaScript and Kotlin. A familiar language is easier to adapt to, and our internal tests show that programmers can become proficient in RHEL in matter of days, in contrast to ALGOL style syntax of PLSQL generally feels unintuitive to modern developers. Now, again, going back to what I was saying just before this, looking for things that make a project unique. what they're saying is that their language is very similar to JavaScript. Now, if we look up this here, I already have this set up on Google. It says recent research undertaken by Stack Overflow Developer Survey in 2016 has shown that JavaScript with a massive 85.3% is the most commonly used programming language on Earth, with full stack developers being high in demand. So what I see here is a project, I really love Ethereum. I really love Matic. And I don't think that you can compare Chromia and Ethereum because they're doing two different things. Basically, especially like if you look at Matic, these projects use Solidity, which is a different coding language. Now, there is different value propositions to use Solidity, and there's reasons that you're going to use Solidity to use Ethereum, and why dApps on Ethereum on top of Matic are going to be so important, like DeFi and gaming and things like that, and they're going to have their own uniqueness, and those type of projects have a reason why they're going to succeed. Now, on the other side, there's a lot of coders that don't code in Solidity. It might be pretty extensive learning curve for them to start coding in Solidity. But if they're already using JavaScript, which we can see that 85.3% is basically a very large number, and it's saying is the most commonly used programming language on Earth. If you have more opportunity of coders to basically use Java and use RHEL, essentially, you're going to have more opportunity to have more coders on your platform creating dApps. So you might actually have a really easy transition, and I could see where Ethereum has its own dApps and styles of dApps. Other types of real world dApps, like for voting, land registration, these kind of things, maybe government type dApps of the future, might use a project like Chromia because their developers can actually use it. So this is very, very interesting. If we search SQL, let's see here. This is really important to me here. It says a relational model also allows us to leverage the power of SQL database management systems, which have been optimized for decades. Instead of dApp code, which traverses memory cells one by one, we can send a query to the DBMS and let it use its sophisticated query planning, data structure, and catching capabilities to carry out the query as fast as possible. So what's interesting here is that the way the relational model works, it says the relational model has been the gold standard for database management for the last 5 decades, rooted in mathematics and logic. It is known to be able to model complex data in an efficient way. For this reason, and the reason stated above, we consider the relational data model to be the linchpin of our blockchain platform. Also down here it says it is impossible to impose hard bounds on query execution time. Again, this is not a problem in Chromia because it affects only the performance of the application, which issues slows queries. Parallelization of SQL databases is a complex area of active research. As far as we know, no blockchain platform offers 100% fully automatic parallelization I was saying that word wrong, sorry, on a massive scale. Thus, there is no evidence that a relational model is worse than other models. In addition, we believe that the relational model will make logical sharding and sidechain mechanisms easier to implement. So I read all of that because what it's explaining is that, using their databases, coders can use idioms that they're already familiar with, like JavaScript type idioms, and they can put together forms of code and functions so that a program can be initiated. And another key point here is that they're using logical sharding and sidechain mechanisms. So sharding is something that Ethereum 2.0 wants to use, and sidechains is something that Matic uses. So these are very advanced forms of scaling mechanisms. And in general, what you're seeing here is, to paint the picture very lightly, you have a project that has an easy language for pretty much any developer in the world, most developers in the world, to use to create a dApp. And then they also have scaling mechanisms for their dApps that are very, very advanced, just like the Matic network. So I think that their value proposition is very, very, very interesting. I think what Chromia really needs, to be honest, is a dApp. I would love to see. I want to be the first person to say this. I would love to see a project like Jagex, or a big company like Jagex that owns RuneScape, a massive game like RuneScape. I'd like to see them put that on the blockchain, being able to move over to Chromia. Jagex developers use JavaScript, so I think it would be easy. And what would be interesting to see is that if a massive game like RuneScape, an RPG game, would be able to scale on Chromia. And basically the dApps that they do have are pretty cool, and I'll show you one in just a second. But these are just to show the abilities that Chromia has. But there's obviously, based off the white paper and more research that I've done, I've noticed that you can do a lot more with Chromia. Now, I do want to also go over this portion of the website because it's really interesting to me. I always look at the team. That's a very important part of making me bullish on a project. So shows here, Chromia is the brainchild of Chromaway, a pioneering blockchain company. After working for several years in building the perfect mix between relational databases and blockchain, they decided to build a platform for everyone with the same underlying technology. Back in 2012, Alex Nazare, the CTO, started working together on what can be called the first implementation of user-defined assets on a blockchain called color coins. If you've been in the space long enough, you've heard of the project color coins. This creation was absolutely revolutionary. We are sure you have heard about tokens. So since 2014, the three co-founders have been working on solutions for banks, enterprises, governments, and private institutions, and have built a team with people from all over the world. Chromaway is a free and open source software company since always, and will not be controlling Chromia, which is a true decentralized platform. So you have Chromaway, which is a very they're titans of the space. They're a very strong company, already making their own revenue, and they're building a decentralized platform that anyone can use. And these, when I say they're titans, I'm saying that because they've been in the space since 2012. They worked on the project color coins. Go ahead and look into that. I don't want to deviate too far from what I'm trying to get at today, but these guys are definitely titans of the space. So being that they're behind Chromia really makes me bullish on the project. So that's a little bit about the project, the team, and now we'll kind of go into some of the updates. Now, recently there was a hack on KuCoin, and I know that there's some people wondering, how that affected Chromia, or the CHR tokens, which is Chromia's tokens. on the KuCoin exchange. Basically, there's this update here. It says, in case you missed it, a number of assets held on KuCoin were stolen earlier today, including CHR. KuCoin will cover the loss. So if you held any tokens on KuCoin, make sure that you stayed up to date on it. So basically, there's no effect. You basically would be refunded if something was stolen from you, especially if it's CHR. I also want to go over this portion of Telegram. So this is the Chromia official English group here. You can see this here. And this fine gentleman here, Shane Latham, he's actually part of Lunar Digital Assets. And he is explaining something that a lot of people in the Chromia project have been wondering. And basically in September, there was a date that people thought needed to happen. They thought that the Chromia mainnet was going to happen as of September 30th. The thing is this here. So Shane explains, he says, hi there, our Bootstrap mainnet, first version of the mainnet, launched in December. The MVP mainnet next iteration with added features is under development but won't be ready by the Q3 estimate. The dev team will be providing regular updates on progress. So one thing that's really important is that we know that the dev team is going to start working on more updates so that the community knows what's going on. And we know that the next iteration of the mainnet won't hit the Q3 estimate that was September 30th, but that there already is a mainnet. Basically, there's already a mainnet because there's dApps already running on Chromia, and one of them I'll show you in just a second. So there's already a mainnet, but as mainnets go, you have different iterations, you have phased rollouts, and mainnets are usually worked on continuously. So what they're trying to say is that this is just an upgrade of the mainnet essentially, and this is coming at some time in the near future, and there'll be more updates soon. Also, another Telegram post by Shane Latham, he actually answers another question that's really important, and they're wondering, when is staking going to go live with Chromia? And he says, as in last week, or, which is from my understanding, the COO of Chromia said, staking will be live in October. So that's next month. So staking should be coming soon, and the next iteration or upgrade of the mainnet should be coming soon as well, and we're going to be getting updates soon. So that's just some basic updates that I wanted to answer for the community. And definitely check out the site. We're going to go ahead and move over to this game that's already running on the Chromia mainnet. And actually, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the price. So what I found really interesting about Chromia is that it only has a market cap of a little over $15 million. That's huge, guys, because if you look at, let's go ahead and go to CoinMarketCap. If you look at the top 10 projects, for instance, if we go to the 20th project to give you a nice little comparison, or even something a little bit more well known, Neo, the 19th project, their market cap is $1,413,000,000. So that's a huge market cap. So $1,413,000,000. So your chances of multiple X's of return for CHR is huge. For instance, you would just take 15 million and you would divide that into Neo's market cap to tell you how many X's of return you could get if Chromia just went to the 19th place on CoinMarketCap. Now, really, just in general, the market cap is very small. This is basically a gem, if this project succeeds. The circulating supply is not very large in comparison to a lot of projects. And the overall movement of this chart looks very interesting. So we'll kind of zoom in. We'll go to trading view. And what I'm saying is also very interesting because, we started back here and we've been moving up through this year. You can see that we started back in May, at least on Binance. And the price action has moved up. And on this up fib, you can see that it's corrected down to the 0.786, which is a pretty decent correction. But, if you're not failing, you usually get a bounce at the 0.786. But of course, there's many other factors that could take place at this point in time, like overall economies, the U.S. market, many different things, Bitcoin crashing, those kind of things that could affect this price. But generally speaking, if Bitcoin goes sideways, if we get the injection of stimulus that I believe is going to be injected into the markets very soon, this could definitely be a very nice area for the price action to bounce from, being that it is the 0.786. And if we even look at the weekly chart, you can see that the price action is definitely respecting the 0.786 on this up fib because last week the price action bullwicked up and closed above this line here, and we have started moving up. Going back to the daily, just real quick, guys, to go over this, you can see that we are closing daily candles above this, and it'll be really interesting to see, based off a lot of the indicators here, being that we were oversold, totally oversold recently, that the MACD has given us a buy signal and the Stokes are pointed upwards. It would be really interesting to see that we start moving up from here. So, take it as, a grain of salt. This is not financial advice, but I'm really eyeing this area and thinking about putting in a position because of everything I've talked about and because even the price looks like a decent area, at this point, especially for a long-term hold on a project that has so much going for them. So the last thing I'm going to do is go over this game, and this here is this game here, Mines of Dalarnia. I can never say this. Dalarnia. So it says it's an action adventure platform mining game where the player controls a character and guides them through various blocks of earth to discover and collect minerals of multiple rarities. Includes a blockchain-based real estate market. So there's a real estate market. Real estate markets are huge. Binance had recently invested in sand, and there's land essentially that you can buy, or plots in this game that you can buy where you can mine on. And the game is actually pretty easy to set up, but I'm actually just going to show a real quick snippet of the gameplay. You can actually upgrade your miner here, like their pickaxe, backpack, their boots, their oxygen, their health. You can choose the sex of your character, and basically you upgrade it with the minerals that you mine. Here's your resources that you can mine within the game. You can craft items, and obviously there's your achievements. Now, the game's pretty straightforward. Here, I'll just show you. You can actually rent a plot, you can buy a plot, but I'm going to just use this open source free to play game. So here, let me go ahead and lower the volume so it's not too deafening. So essentially the way the game works is, you just jump around. You're using the keypads here on the game to jump around, use space bar to move through the rocks. There is monsters. There's these light beacons that you can initiate, which kind of make the area around the game light up. And as you can see here, I'm just collecting and mining. You have these iron batteries, which works with your oxygen. So as you can see here on the game screen, you have your backpack over here, and your health, your light source, your map, and your oxygen right up here at the top. And essentially what you're doing is just mining, like I said, and exploring, and then you can upgrade. You can buy land, you can double jump, and you can leave the map via these little teleports. And then you can take back your minerals, upgrade your items, and there's a lot more to the game, but this is just a really quick showing of a dApp that's already running on their mainnet. So this proves that there's a mainnet, there's a dApp that is actually already working, so the mainnet is successful already. And overall, this is a very interesting project. I want to see that what Orr said, which is the COO, again, from my understanding, he's saying that they're going to do more updates. I think that's probably what's very important for the project. But everything else, the project really has a lot going for it. The technology, after reviewing it, is very, very phenomenal. So overall, I would say this is definitely something to look at. This is not financial advice. This is just a review of the project and the team. And I would say definitely follow them. They're at Chromia on Twitter. You can find updates and get to their website here. I always say go directly to Twitter, follow and use the links that are from the official Twitter projects, because they'll get you the right sites so that you don't lose money and things like that. But anyways, guys, I hope you found this interesting and beneficial. Never give up on the future of money. Take it easy, guys.